Thanks very much for the introduction, Eric. Yeah, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, I think with that timeline here, it was less than a year ago that I was actually at another metals investor forum with Eric, introducing Founders Metals as a company and introducing the Antino Gold Project. So, we've done a lot in a pretty short period of time, and we found a lot of gold, basically. Kind of getting into the project, we're located in Suriname, in the center of the Guyana Shield. It's kind of the northeast corner of South America. Suriname itself is a country. It's about 400 by 400 kilometers, about 600,000 people there, so pretty small population. But there's a lot of gold mining there. It's a long-standing history of gold mining in the country and a lot of active gold mining going on. Two major operators in the country right now. You've got Zijin operating the Rosebel mine. That's been going for over 15 years. And Newmont is currently operating the Marion mine. We're located down in the southeast corner of the country, down here. And we've got 20,000 hectare land package. So that's 200 square kilometers of what I think is some of the most prospective greenstone gold ground in Suriname, if not the Guyana Shield. And I say that because around us, there's tens of kilometers of alluvial and historical artisanal gold mining activity. There's over 100 years of history there with that. And, from the project itself, we know that there's over 500,000 ounces of gold that have come off the property. And that's using artisanal mining methods that really only recover about 20-30% of the gold. So really do think that there's a big scale here. In terms of the company and some things that have been a big differentiator for us, it's really been that, from the get-go, we early on purchased our own diamond drills. And that's a little different than the usual junior story. And it's really helped us to, kind of be very kind of operationally flexible, especially early on. We didn't have a lot of capital to work with. But then from that, we've come out of it with, basically our all-in drill meters at $160 Canadian, give or take a little bit. And so that's allowed us to really drill a lot of meters and understand a lot more about this system for not a lot of capital. Beyond that, one thing I'm really proud of and really enjoy that we have in the country is an in-country Bureau Veritas certified lab that gives us very, very quick turnaround times. And the thing that I really like about that is twofold. One is that from an explorational or technical standpoint, it means that we're getting the information that we need to make decisions in the ground from a technical standpoint very, very quickly. Sometimes we're, on a single pad, if we've got 3 holes, we can get assay results back on the first hole while we're still drilling a third one. So that turnaround time is great, but more importantly to the market side of things, it means that we're able to relay information to shareholders at a pace that you don't see very often out there. So we put out press releases and drill results typically on the order of every 2 to 3 weeks since we got going. And, it's been really great to have people be able to follow along, see that kind of incremental growth, and really just, join in the whole progress with us. In terms of the company, right now, very, very tightly held. Last 2 financings, we raised about $10 million last year. Last 2 financings is no warrant, excellent shareholders, and a little over 57 million shares outstanding. We also have $5.5 million in the bank, which, because of our very cheap drilling exploration costs, represents quite a lot. Right now, we're looking at about 30,000 meters of drilling planned for 2024. But we also have over $6 million in warrants that are deep in the money. So with that money as well, I think that we have an opportunity in 24 to see upwards of 50,000 meters of drilling, without really needing to come back to market or do any more financing. And that really keeps that dilution piece very, very low. Coming back to the property side of things, and I won't spend too much time on it, but some of the things that have really helped us do so much with such a short period of time have been really infrastructure pieces that we've come into. So we have big benefits like an existing exploration camp, road network between all the major exploration targets that we've been working. There's a 1.3 kilometer airstrip that's commercially serviced right at the main camp, and then most importantly, I think, is that we have barge access to the property. So that's heavy equipment. That's how our drills got there. And it's also really the pathway to getting the kind of equipment and anything you need in a future development scenario for the project. Kind of that same figure, but looking at the scale of exploration and what's out there for us to do beyond what we've focused on. And really just for a sense of what we've been working, the majority of all the drill results we've put out have really been in this Upper Antino area. Historically, there's been some work down at Boise. We've done a bit of work down there, but haven't gotten there drilling. Plans for 24 is to get down there kind of end of Q1, early Q2, but the focus has been up here. But what I want to point out on this figure is that, from the historic auger geochemical or gold sampling, we've got over 8 kilometers of strike length that very realistically continues, and we're just working a very, very small piece of that. And when you look at this data and just the distribution of gold here, there's some spectacular targets out and away from the areas that we've been working that we're really looking forward to digging around in later this year. Now kind of, I guess, coming into the meat of things, and this is where we've been working and what we've been building here over the last few months, and what we put some news out this morning on. This is the Froyo Gold Zone at Upper Antino. And so Froyo is just the first kind of 500 meters north of the runway here. That's part of a 1.8 kilometer long gold mineralization defined by drilling in historic work. What we've done since we've gotten there is we've really filled in and come to understand the deposit a lot more in terms of the structural controls on the gold mineralization, and been able to really target based on that the overall kind of main zone here. And it's it continues, or it has potential to continue in both directions. It's open kind of in every direction. But the big thing, and what we put out some news on early, well, just before the holidays actually, is this parallel zone. So we had drilled previously a few hits, especially in the southern part down here. Weren't sure if it was parallel, something that was cross-cutting, but then just before the holidays, we started to step back and we were aiming to basically hit the main zone deeper down, and we're very happy to find quite a lot of gold higher up in the string. And so, that kind of came together, looks very good in the core, and makes that footprint, that mineralization footprint, takes it from about 80 meters wide out to about 200, and really stretches things in terms of future potential open pit. All of that looks much better having this second structure. But then with today's results, the big thing from the results we put out this morning is a hole that I'm really excited about, and that's a hole that has 6 separate zones in between these kind of 2 main areas that we had been using to define this parallel structure, but 6 different gold zones, 10 meters, 12 meters, 13 meters, that fill in that gap. And so it's really starting to look like, when we look at the cross-section here, like we're really filling in that overall volume here. And so, for a sense of scale, that footprint at surface, again, is about 200 meters wide. And what we see is that we have, our main zone here that comes down, but then with this hole 45 and some of those earlier hits from late last year, we're really taking that volume and adding quite a lot of gold. And so the case of, is it a single parallel zone? Is it multiple zones in that thing? Really, it becomes a scale thing. But what's exciting is that we're filling in that volume and really adding quite a lot to the picture there at Froyo. So the last thing I'll touch on here today too is just another opportunity that's come out of this project. Since we've been down there, we've put quite a bit of time into geochemistry work over the property, but we focused really on some of the historical tailings, particularly in the Upper Antino area initially. And the tailings here represent, a really important opportunity for founders. What we see here is, tailings piles that have grades that are up to 9 grams per ton. And this is pre-processed, pre-milled material effectively that's sitting there and is easy to do something with. For us, that represents an opportunity for potential near-term cash flow. The capital expenditures for doing something like that and even the timelines are very, very short. And it's also something that we have all of the permits necessary to do. So it's a very real possibility of, in a very short time frame, being able to access some of these tailings and move that forward. On top of that, I think one of the things that's exciting about the tailing works there is that this really only represents about 20% of the tailings on the property. So there's quite a lot of growth outside of the Froyo gold zone and everything else on the property. This represents a lot as well. And I think I'll probably stop it there. Yeah. Yeah.